My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Today, my friend, I would like to explore with you the topic of beings of light, teammates, and other fantastical creatures. So, as per usual, we might be getting into the weird, the world, the unseen world, although some of you can see stuff that you're not supposed to see. I know you can. I actually love diving into this kind of stuff and really allowing myself to explore curiously what I know in this area. And that's what I encourage you to do today. There are many gurus, that's the word. It's gooey. That's what's happening. There are many teachers, there are many high spiritual leaders, and they have a lot of form and structure around this topic. And I would like to invite you to a possibility of less form and structure, more curiosity, and more discovering your capacities and gifts in this area, rather than to looking to someone else for their gifts and capacities in this area. So now the work I do, Access Consciousness, I talk about it a lot on the show here. There is kind of like a branch of Access Consciousness, and it's called Talk to the Entities. Shannon O'Hara, a phenomenal, potent, magical creature, has led the Talk to the Entities movement. There is a ton of content on her YouTube channel and her website. Please check it out. We'll have links for you below if you want to dive in more and take some of those classes. Please do, because there is a miraculous world available for us to tap into and explore. And what I've discovered for myself is the more I'm willing to explore it, the more it actually contributes to my life. And the more I'm like, kind of separating from it or being cautious about it, the less receiving I have to this entire universe of possibility. We're not going to talk about all entity stuff right now. I actually want to put our attention on these three things. So there's beings of light. I'm directing back to Shannon O'Hara. She wrote a phenomenal book called Beings of Light. Highly recommend you read it. I'll put a link below. It describes these kind of mega beings, okay? Really, truly potent, magical beings that are willing to contribute to consciousness here on Earth and to your own creations that support consciousness. And you might have just noticed something right when I brought them up. So that's kind of one of the things that's really cool, is the moment you start to put your attention, lower some walls, put your awareness on something, you can sense it more dynamically. And you might not have noticed anything, and that doesn't mean nothing's going on. It doesn't mean that your sensor is broken. Some of us have truly dynamically cut off these awarenesses. I know so many people I've worked with have talked about, I used to see things when I was a kid, or I had imaginary friends as a kid, and I cut all that off and I don't have access to that anymore. What if that wasn't true? What if you can't actually truly cut off what you be, which is your capacities, but you can control or suppress them for a certain amount of time? So these beings of light, not from significance and not from what you may have heard of as guides or beings that are greater than you. Be aware of that concept. Be aware of the concept that there's anything greater than you. That's a disempowering point of view, right? because you have to disempower yourself. You've become less powerful for something to be a higher being, a more empowered being, a more enlightened being than you. Now, are there things that some of these beings might be aware of that you're not? Of course. Just like a person in your life might be aware of something that you're not. A friend, a coworker might be aware of something that you're not. That doesn't make you less than them. But you can receive awareness, and you can receive information and receive contribution from anyone and everything, including these beings of light. So now that we've kind of addressed that piece of not putting them higher up than you, there's this notion of these guides that will guide you. But if you require guidance, then you have to take the point of view that you don't know. You don't know what you know, and that you need to be guided to what someone else knows. What if you had access to everything? What if you truly could know everything that you require? And what we do in this show is we ask a lot of questions. We get really curious, and it's about going in and accessing what you know about something. So what do you know about beings of light that maybe no one's ever told you? Let that awareness kind of come forward, come in, however that shows up for you. Allow yourself to become aware of it. It might just be an energy. You might be getting pictures or memories of being a kid. Sensations, smells. What do you know about these beings of light? A great kind of experiment or like communication building exercise is you could actually create some space where you feel super comfortable. So pick a time of day where you feel super comfortable, safe. If you have fear around this, pick a time where you feel safe and comfortable, and ask for the beings of light to come and communicate with you. How do you communicate with something that doesn't look like a person, right? How do you communicate with a being that doesn't have a body? Well, those Talk to the Entities classes will definitely help with that. But what if you actually know something about communicating with beings and beings of light that maybe no one's ever told you? What if you could explore it? One way to start exploring it is to actually use your heavy and light. So we have talked about this in other shows. Anything that's true for you is going to have a sense of lightness. Anything that's not true for you, if there's a lie in there, it's going to have a sense of heaviness to it. So you can communicate, ask questions maybe of the being, and use your senses of light and heavy to indicate what's going on. So you could be like, you sense something? Are you a being of light? Is it light? Is it heavy? It's communicating to you, right? Now, it can go so much further, and these Talk to the Entities classes are really, really great in that they can help you develop a platform for like deeper communication. Today, we're just kind of brushing on the surface. We're just kind of playing into this realm a little bit and getting into the opening the door to the possibility of this in a way that I can on this platform. Cool. So then let's look at the teammate piece. So I like to look at, rather than having guides that are guiding me because I'm lost in the woods, I have teammates. So those could be beings of light. They could not be beings of light. But they're beings that are just on my team. You know, have you ever had that? I did not really have that growing up. In some little kind of ways I did, but I saw people where their family was their team. Like they were a team and they always had each other's back and they were supporting each other. For other people, it's their partner, or they have one best friend, or they have a group of people. And for some of us, we've never experienced that in physical form. But what if you had a team, yes, you, no matter what you think about yourself, if you're deserving of a team or not, that there's actually a team of beings that would like to support you, that would like to contribute to you? Does that make you lighter? If it does, then that's an indication that it's true for you. And you can start having a conversation with those beings as well. The beauty of that is, as when you open up to conversation, then you're also opening up to contribution. It's gifting and receiving at the same time. So they're gifting to you and you're receiving it, but you're also gifting to them and they're receiving it. And do you sense that possibility of expansion showing up? So I like to invite my teammates to contribute to different aspects of my life. Sometimes I'll just say, hey, teammates, like, are any of you really good at like this area of business? Are any of you really good at finding delicious places to eat? And you'll kind of get a ping or a light sensation. Again, you're going to get some kind of energetic response, some feedback. You have to discover what that is for you. I can give you some examples of things that shown up for me or my clients, but it's going to be so unique for you. So really notice what you notice when you ask that question. That will require a level of presence. To be present with what you notice and not judge if you think that you're not noticing anything, because you probably are noticing more than you realize. And you're actually inviting them to different parts of your life. Doesn't that sound fun? It's I love referencing movies because movies can have a visual representation sometimes of things. And if you've ever seen the movie Aquaman, there's the scene where he's a little boy and he's getting picked on a lot. And they're at this aquarium and he was like kind of communicating to the sea world. And these kids were like bullying him or something. And he was on the ground and then he turns and he stands up and behind him were these sharks and all of this marine life. And they were like, we have this kid's back. And I remember like experiencing this like wave of gratitude and tears, realizing that I had a team that was having my back on all those times where I felt alone, where I felt pushed to the ground. And like, no one was there for me. No one got me. No one really cared. And I was like, oh, wait, but there was a whole team. There was a whole team there. So what if you could acknowledge your team and where has your team been there having your back? And you didn't notice or you didn't acknowledge because it doesn't look how we expect it to look. So would you actually let your teammates and let these beings of light into your life more and invite them, receive from them the contribution that they can be for you in your living and your body and your business and your money flows and all the wonderful things. Sometimes we believe, well, I'm not special enough to have that. And who am I to have beings that are just desiring to contribute to me? I haven't, written a book or I don't have all these success points, like whatever you've decided there. But your teammates aren't judging you like you're judging you. They actually think you're wonderful. They can bypass your judgments and all the things that you've been told about you, and they access your infinite being. Infinite being. Something that shows up for me personally is sometimes I'll actually feel hands on my back. Notice what you notice. You can ask, are those my teammates? Hi. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me even when I didn't acknowledge that you were supporting me. What can we contribute to each other now that was never possible before? How much fun can we have? What can we create? Speak to them now, if you will. Notice if your body's relaxing or is it getting tense? Are you feeling lighter or are you getting heavier? So if you're getting heavier or there's some contractions and tension going on, then there might be some deeper septic clear in this area. And I'm highly again going to recommend some of Shannon O'Hara's work. There's actually a whole bunch of talk these facilitators to explore. You can have a one-on-one session with someone. So a lot of us have bought lies. And those lies keep us from this massive gift of contribution. Now I want to talk about the fantastical creatures. You may have met people in your life that are a little bit kind of, in Ireland, I learned this saying and I love it. It's off with the fairies. They're a little bit off with the fairies, you know, they seem like a little bit kind of not present, not really here. They're kind of just off with the fairies and speaking to little creatures. And so everything that you decided it would mean about you if you were engaging with fantastical creatures, would you destroy and uncreate that, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, talking about all nature's boys, poets, and beyond. So if you're new to the show and that's the first time you've heard me say that, that's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. Please go to www.clearingstatement.com for more information on that, and we'll have a link here for you as well. I'm not going to go into it today, but it is a magical tool to start to clear out those lies that we have, those separations, those things that keep us from the space of awareness. So just me bringing up the energies of fantastical creatures, I can sense them. I didn't always sense them. I would say as a child I did, and then at some point you kind of do that I grew up thing, you know? Did you do that thing? Maybe you never did that thing. I did that thing. I did that, like, I grew up and I don't really believe in that stuff anymore, and I'm a teenager and all this stuff. And then I would meet people that were all like over exaggerated and kind of like very woo woo, and I was kind of put off by it. And I decided this must all be bullshit, because I don't sense that this person is actually communing with anything other than the insanity of their mind. Well, funny enough, years later, I discovered that these fantastical creatures are all around. And they desire to engage with people that are willing to engage with them. They actually love engaging with people that will engage with them. And they can contribute things that are unimaginable and truly in a space of like where it doesn't even make sense that it's possible. Because the rules of this reality will say that it's not possible, yet it is possible. Yet it shows up miraculously in my life and many other people's lives all the time. Maybe in your life and you've never acknowledged it. The more you acknowledge it, the more you engage with these creatures, the more it can show up. What if there are beings on this planet that go by the name of dragon or unicorn or whatever it is that you're drawn to? What if all of these fantastical creatures that we see in movies or we've read in books, what if they actually came from someone's awareness, not imagination? And so when you're willing to engage with these creatures, you actually allow them more space to be here. Yeah, it's a massive gift for you to engage with these beings, however they present to you and show up for you. Maybe it is fairies, maybe it is along the lines of the things that are pretty traditional, and it might be creatures that you've never heard of before. You might get pictures in your head or inspired to draw something and I've never seen this like sea creature before. I've never seen something like this before. You might be getting, you might suddenly start to have dreams about magical things and magical places. That's when you open yourself to the communication with these magical creatures. It can show up in a multitude of different ways for you. And then you can also ask, where can I go to find them? So you can ask them to come to you, but you can also go exploring. Where are they? Where do they like to play? Would you be willing to play with them? Now, how do you play with something that you can't see or you can't feel, right? Some of you might be wondering that. Well, it's as simple as what you and I are just doing here. My body's swaying to the energy because there's all of this motion going on, this energetic communication going on. It can be going and touching, trees and rocks and the earth and engaging in that area and wondering, is this a tree? Is this a creature? And in New York City, go a couple times. I've been there. I went to Central Park, and there's these beautiful rocks that kind of burst out of the ground. It seems completely displaced. And I remember going, oh my gosh, I have to touch it with my skin. And I took off my shoes and I stood on it. And I crouched down. I was putting my hands on it, and it felt like a beast. Not like a beast, but like it was like a beast. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't even the earth, although it was the earth, but that fantastical energy was there. And I was able, just by touching it, just by being present with it and being curious, not trying to define it at all, but being just so curious and like, oh, what can I perceive here? And what can I be aware of? And what is this? What sensations is my body showing me about this? What do I smell? What do I hear? Like using your senses. That's playing with magical creatures. It can be that easy. Now, you might not want to look bizarre in Central Park with your shoes off, crawling all over rocks. And that's okay. You can find like private secret areas to do this, or you can be as weird as me and just enjoy it wherever you are. What a gift it has been to my life to open up to this engagement, this communication, this contribution to beings of light and magical creatures and my teammates. And I desire to invite you to that as well. You might already be doing this in different ways. There's many different techniques out there. Again, I'm not going too much into the communication piece. I feel like that would be maybe a different kind of show. But we're just kind of brushing into this wonderful world of possibility. And I do wonder, what do you know about all this? Have you ever been just kind of like relaxing on the couch and felt like as if a being put their head on your shoulder? Maybe it's your dragon. Or you could swear it was like a dog just got up on your bed. It could be a being. Have you ever just felt something stopped you and then you avoided something disastrous showing up? Maybe it's your teammate. So whether you're brand new to this or you've been exploring the entity world forever, what could you open up to today that you've never opened up to? What could you explore that would be really nourishing, nurturing, and contributory to you? Oh, yeah. Well, that seems as far as we can go today on this show. I would love to explore this topic more. Please let me know if you're interested in more about this, and we could do another show or create something different where we can go further. There's a multitude of worlds and realms and universes available for us to receive from. It's truly endless. And these beings don't judge us the way we judge ourselves. What if you just even received that today? Thank you so much for listening to the show. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?